and welcome to Early Years TV with me, Kathy Brodie. Today is a first on Early Years TV because we're talking about yoga and we've never done that before. We're discussing this with Susan Hartley and Katie Brennan. Sue and Katie set up Yoginis Yoga Training Limited in 2006 and have been delivering yoga sessions and training to schools and nurseries ever since. They are lifelong advocates of yoga and are experts in training and teaching early years providers in both yoga and mindfulness. A very warm welcome to Early Years TV, Sue Hartley and Katie Brennan.
Hi Kathy, thanks for having us. Hi Kathy, and hi to everybody watching today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on today because I'm really excited about this. We've never had yoga on before. And I know that you do training for practitioners and parents and also for children. I'd like to start with the children if we may. Now, when I think about yoga, I think about a nice calm room, lots of space, everybody all being very calm and gentle. When I think about a room full of children, it's really not like that, is it? So how do you teach children yoga?
That's a really good question, actually, and one that we often get asked, to be quite honest, because people can't always, they don't understand the concept of really what we do because of that, because they see adult yoga and they think, how do you bring that to the children? What we do is we cover all the concepts that you would get in an adult's yoga class, like centering and posture work and breathing and relaxation, but we bring that down to a child's level and we incorporate a lot of fun in that and a lot of songs and rhymes, things like that, and other tools that we bring in. Objects such as like a breathing ball, what we call the breathing ball, child friendly, things, yes, and we also have chimes as well, which we use.
Oh, what a lovely sound that is.
Yes, so it does end up calming at the end, but and at the beginning, you know, we do have a centering where when the children come in and they sit down and round in the circle, obviously we want to sort of bring their attention into that moment. So it's like a bit of mindfulness, if you like, bringing them into the present moment. And we do that through our three monkeys, which are on our t-shirts. Our three kind monkeys: kind hearts, kind words, kind thoughts. And this is what we get the children to do at the beginning of every session. And that's how they know it's the beginning of yoga. And we get them to repeat this 3 times. And they absolutely love it. Yeah. And this is also how we regulate the class as well. So if children are, say, not listening or anything like that, you can bring them back with that. Remember our monkeys, which is... kind thoughts. Are we showing kind thoughts? If somebody's not saying something that you think is rather nice to the person next to them, which they can get a little bit like that sometimes, you know, or like get off my mat instead of I think you're in my space, you know, like that. We can say, oh, remember kind words, how we ask nicely, you know, sort of, and we're constantly doing that. And the kids just kind of, after a period of time, they realise that that's how it is. And then later on we'd say to them, we can start extending that outside of the yoga circle. So we're spreading kindness all the time. And this is what we do. So we teach them this promise and incorporate all the elements of an adult yoga class. And even right to the very end, they get that lie down. So that's where they get that calming moment. So often they might come in all noisy and sort of jumping around, and they might look like they're doing that during the session, but actually at the end and when they're leaving, they're an awful lot calmer than when they came in.
Yeah, I think so as well. You know, a natural yoga class is kind of that kind of thing, you know, you build up and you come back down again. Yes. So we give them that time to, like in a warm-up, it's usually something that's fast moving, that they get the opportunity to use the voices. So it kind of gets that out there. And then we've got a variety of postures that we use. So some of them it's okay to make noise, some of them is about being quiet. So we're getting them to, you know, balance between those different states of being. And then, as Sue said, you know, we bring them down to that relaxed place at the end. And we were just saying before, weren't we, that we had somebody come and observe some classes that we were teaching yesterday, and she really remarked on what a difference it was from how the attitude the children came into the class with to what they left with. And these were children that hadn't done yoga before. It was new to them. It was part of a well-being day that we had done at that particular school, and it had made that difference. And some of the children were saying, can I take a mat home with me, because it was so wonderful lying down. And we were able to say, well, you don't need a mat. Yeah. You've got your own space at home, just have a lie down. And some children aren't introduced to being able to do that. We're very fast and in society, aren't we? So that was nice.
True. Yeah. So how long is a session normally then? How long would you be with the children?
30 minutes, we would say.
Oh, really? So in that short amount of time that you've managed to... Wow, that's really exceptional, isn't it? I mean, and that's a huge benefit for children, but I'm guessing there's other benefits as well, are there?
Oh, tons.
Lots of benefits, yeah. I mean, if you Google benefits of yoga, you're going to get tons and tons. I think for us, some of the main ones are obviously from a physical point of view. It's about building strength and flexibility at the same time. You have to have both to maintain a healthy body. But really as well, that body awareness that you're able to get from yoga. We've seen this for ourselves as practitioners, how that's helped us in our lives. We've seen it with our own children, and then obviously the children that we're teaching as well. And body awareness and movement is very much linked to brain development. Moving helps make new brain connections all the time. So it's important. It's important all throughout life, isn't it? Even as an elderly person, we're always making new brain connections. So that's fantastic. For children, obviously they're building up balance and coordination. Those kind of things, so it's helping them with the physical literacy side of things. A big problem really that we see now really is poor posture, isn't it? I'm probably not sitting the best myself. Every time I say that, I think, it's that tendency when we're in a chair to slump down. And as children are sitting in chairs, not so much in early years, but as they go into school more, then they're losing that. So teaching them techniques to help the posture, open the chest. Even young children, aren't they? They're on the phones. We're getting scapular back kind of thing, rounding over like that. So it's helping to open the chest. And of course, by opening the chest, then the breathing's working better.
Also helping to relieve tension.
Yeah.
So, and that can be in the mind as well as in the body, because you know yourself, some days your mind might be very active. Sometimes we have that tension in our body. We're holding the tension in the body, but the mind's relaxed.
Yeah.
So by doing the stretching exercises, that's how you relieve the tension in the body.
I think what you're trying to say is it's getting that connection back to body and brain, because when we become disconnected, we don't quite feel right, and we can get injured and we can get stressed. And that's another one really, isn't it, about yoga's really good for stress, isn't it?
Yeah.
Helping to control stress
and anxiety
through the breath.
Yeah.
Teaching kids that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think all inclusive as well. Sue, especially you teach in a special needs school, don't you? And
the children absolutely love it there. It's part of their enrichment classes. That's what I go in to do, and the staff say they think it's one of the best enrichments that they can possibly have. They love it, and I have the different age groups within there and different mobility as well. And because the program is repetitive and it's very simple, the children can follow it quite easily. They end up actually helping each other in that, because they become confident, and it's something that they can do. So they tend to help the less able ones who can't do something like that. It kind of gives them that sense of achievement. So we're just touching the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I think as well, it's the all-inclusive side. One little boy had an operation or stitches on his knee or something like that, and he assumed that he'd just have to sit out in the class, and we're like, no, come on, because you can sit in a chair and do yoga. Why can't you stretch up and be a tree like this? Why do you have to sit out and miss it completely? So although he's not balancing, he is sitting up straight in his chair, and he's using those core muscles, and he's just, your body's thinking about that. And then at another time he will be able to stand up and he will be able to do it. And what we kind of find from that as well is that really we're giving children that out of the box thinking that it doesn't have to be a specific way. What we like to think about yoga is that anybody can do it, isn't it? That's our main message.
Yeah.
And really what that does then is it builds like future innovators and change agents from children, because they can see that there's more than one way to do things. And especially for early years children, because we know, don't we, about the 0 to 5 years is a key time for making them realise that they, you know, they can do it. Whatever their circumstances, they can do it, and that's big for us, isn't it?
Yeah, and like, we, you know, we've had children who can't support themselves, like standing or sitting, so we've shown how you can just do these things lying down. It's very adaptable. And like Katie was saying about the chair yoga, a young girl who had a feeder in, broke a leg, she'll have to sit out. And I said, no, we can adapt things to include her. It's just not a problem, you know, because it can be kept so simple.
And she was laughing, wasn't she? Having so much fun, and just fell. And nobody really noticed that she wasn't on the floor with them, because she was. The circle's very important to us. Circle's like a massive supportive structure for people anyway, isn't it? So I think that goes back to your first question as well about the controller thing. Everybody can see everybody else, and it just brings that security and comfort. And I think when children have that, they're less likely to act out, or you know,
it's that safe place.
Yeah.
So do you need a big room then? I'm sort of thinking of a school hall. Does it need to be quite big then to have that sort of space?
No. What do we say? Any space, any time, any place.
Brilliant.
I mean, obviously, if you've got 30 kids, you know, you can't do it in the cupboard, kind of thing. You know. So, but you can adapt it, can't you? So if you've got a hall, get all 30 kids in there, say, or whatever. But you know, for a nursery setting, they tend to do it in groups anyway, don't they? So kind of between 6 and 10 children, say, or something like that. I mean, we kind of use 15, don't we?
There's a max.
It's you know, because that's usually what space you're presented with in a nursery, and it's literally the space of children holding hands, isn't it? And being able to sit on the floor, you know. But we can use mats as well.
Yeah, I think there's actually a video on our website of actually a small setting, when we're in a small setting, just to give you that idea of the space.
Yeah, we can share
anybody.
a video with you, can't we?
Yeah, we can do that,
yeah, super stuff. And I'm thinking, of course, as well with childminders and nannies and so on, who might have a front room or maybe an outdoor space, something like that they could use.
Outdoors is brilliant.
Yes, we do it outdoors as well, when it's nice. Outdoors,
I think it's mainly a thing of it's safety, isn't it? You know, clean.
Just a safe space, basically. You know, it's your usual risk assessment, isn't it? That's basically what it is.
Of course, you've got to be sensible as well, haven't you? And I know that one of your mantras is happy, healthy, content children. So just take me through each of those then for the children. If you had a yoga session with happy, healthy and content, how would you meet all of those needs with the children?
So what do we mean by happy? Well, that it's lots of fun, and that the children are praised a lot, they get a lot of encouragement, there's no right or wrong way, and actually it even though in a sense it is a structured activity, the children are actually leading the way. So they set the pace, if you like, and then they might bring in some other little thoughts that they have. So which actually me and Katie love, and we tend to sort of like, that's a good one. We'll just jot that one down. They sort of give us lots of ideas. So like we've had dancing cats, which we never thought about before. So they like to dance in their cat. I've had laughing crab. So they come up with all these things, and we think, it's a really good idea, and we can just link it up straight away with something. And so they're having such a good fun, you know, they're just chucking all these ideas in, and that's the evidence to us that they're happy. Plus they do chant when they see us, they jump up and down. She said, I love yoga. She says it's not like doing exercise at all.
It's more fun than exercise. More fun than
exercise. Well, write that one down. More fun than exercise. She doesn't realise she's exercising, and she's moving her body in all the different ways that the body can move. You know, she's doing all these things and everything like that, and she doesn't even feel that that's what she's doing, because she's just having so much fun doing it. She doesn't count it as exercise.
No. And that leads us on to healthy really as well then, because, you know, what we've sort of read a lot about is that, you know, early intervention is key to building good habit. If children are building this positive relationship with exercise at an early age, you know, I'm the person that used to try and get a note out of sports all the time after hold my hand up and say this, because it wasn't fun for me. I wasn't happy. I didn't care whether I was healthy. I was a kid, you know. So if we're able to give children that they are then more likely to do these things in adulthood, because they're associating it with fun, aren't they, basically? You know, it's contributing to the requirement for exercise, for the physical activity guidelines, in a different way, because it's hard for practitioners to get those minutes in, and even for other sports they might want to play. As they get older, you know, it's still those skills, it's the body awareness, it's knowing what your body's doing. And, you know, if you get injured, having that thing of, oh, I know if I move my back like this, you know, we've had kids say they feel like they've got a whole new back. You know, they are older kids, not early years kids, but, you know, and that's healthy, isn't it? Knowing when your body's sick, or knowing what your body needs to keep it healthy, and to be able to take that action and do exercise.
And by content we mean like confident. That's what we mean, that they're content in themselves, so they feel confident that they can, with who they are and what they can do. So, you know, like a lot of children don't like going into sport because maybe they're the last one that always gets picked, or they're never the captain or something like that. Well, in yoga class it's not like that, you know, because it's all about you. You can't compete with somebody else because your bodies are different shapes and sizes, and everybody looks different in the same posture. So there's no kind of right or wrong way, so it doesn't really matter. You know, we say to them, right, be a tree. Oh, I can't. Well, you know, look outside. All the trees are different shapes and sizes. Why do you have to be like that? Just be what you want to be. That's right. You're balancing on one leg, you're a tree. You know, it doesn't matter. So they're like, oh, right, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, actually, this is something I can be good at. And we've found that with children who may be a little bit apprehensive about joining in things like that. They might sit and watch at first, and then actually they're then leading the class sometimes practically, because they're just so confident with this new thing that they've got. They just feel like they're in charge. And I mean, going forward as well, talking about like older children, I've had head teachers say to me, we've tried to get this child, you know, he's forgotten his PE kit, he's done everything to get out of PE, and yet we're absolutely amazed that he goes to yoga class every week when it's on. Wow. And that's because, you know, he's fun. Confident, and he's confident. It doesn't matter the size or shape of his body, or whether he's good at this or not as good at that or whatever. And he's not going to be afraid about not being picked for something, or being picked for something he can't. There's no fear coming in. Do you know what I mean? So it makes them content because they know they can achieve something. Anybody can be a gorilla.
And as well, I think it's that because we've made that kindness promise at the beginning, I think children feel that they're going to be treated kind, and if they're not, that will be challenged. So they're not worrying, you know, and they get used to that. And, you know, we believe that kindness has got the power to transform, really. It releases happy hormones. You know, we all feel better when somebody's kind to us. It's actually really beneficial for us to be kind to somebody else. So, you know, I mean, kindness is about giving without receiving. But if we go on a selfish sense with it, actually, you know, giving out kindness gives you all kind of bodily benefits. It releases all the happy hormones. It keeps you healthy. It keeps you happy. And I think this might be a good time to share the Yoginis Yoga Promise. Actually, we touched on it before, but maybe to...
we can
do that, and then people at home watching or whatever could make it with us, maybe. So then Sue, you can do it.
So we start by putting our hands together. This is called Namaste Mudra, but it's often used in other walks of life. And basically the reason why you put your hands together like this is because it said to bring your scattered thoughts together. So that's why this hand gesture is.
Let me do this with you.
Yeah, come on, Kathy.
So then we take it to our heart centre and we say, kind hearts.
Kind hearts.
Then we take it to our lips and we say, kind words. Kind words. And then we take it to our foreheads and we say kind thoughts.
Kind thoughts.
Yeah, and we often repeat that 3 times, so let's do that twice more. So kind hearts.
Kind hearts.
Kind words.
Kind words.
Kind thoughts.
Kind thoughts.
One last time.
Do it together.
Yeah. Kind hearts. Kind words. Kind thoughts. That's it, yeah.
And the kids remember this, don't we? That's what we find amazing. You know, we literally show them this, or we turn up at class with this on, and like, the monkeys. What do the monkeys mean? Straight away, kind hearts, kind words, and they love saying it. And, you know, that's why this is something that we give away for free, because we have kind of our mission. And one element of our mission is to spread kindness, because we've just said that ability to transform kindness. We just want to give that. So we're happy for practitioners to take this and use it with their children. It is an element of the program that we deliver to children, you know, which is part of our training. But this is so important to us that, you know, people can download this off our website, this actual card, print it off, and, you know, they can, if you teach it to the children, and then they can display it. Some people have like thought areas, don't they, or quiet areas, that kind of thing. And actually, when children feel they need that, they can go to that then.
And also what we find is that about being content, about, if you think, people think that you always have to give children something to make them content, but actually children don't always need anything, do they? They just need adventure, they just need curiosity, and they just want your time, you know. So, and that's what yoga brings to them.
Yeah, being content on your own, without that approval from somebody else, without somebody else having to give you something to keep you content. You know, we're all individuals at the end of the day, and to have that resilience and strength of character, we really need to be content with ourselves. And more so now, I think children don't really get that time on their own. We used to be bored as kids, and that would make us go off and make perfume and dens in our sheds, and, you know, spiders are going to attack us and all that. But kids now, it's, you know, there's a lot of technology. You know, I'm not saying that technology is not good. Obviously, we're online here. We do our online courses. But there's always something there available for them as an external entertainment, isn't there? And what kids get from doing yoga as well is just sometimes that quiet space. And it's nice. Even as adults, we don't really get a lot of quiet space, do we? And with our children, Sue, haven't we? We've found that, you know, they like that quiet space, and they like to take themselves off and reflect, and, you know, they'll often disappear, and then they'll turn up and look what I've done, and, you know, they've drawn something or written something, and it gives, it's, you know, creativity's born that way, isn't it, rather than external influence.
And like mine are in the teens now as well, and sometimes they just like to have that get, you know, when they feel as though, everything is there, you know, and they just go, I'm just going to my room for a few minutes, and they'll just get on the bed and lie down and just have a bit of time out, and then they'll come back and join everybody, and they're just a lot nicer as well. Because they've had that time out, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. The neuroscience is telling us about that as well, isn't it? That's telling us, because we can now see what's happening in the brain as well. And I know that a lot of what you do is based on the neuroscience and the biodynamics and brain moves and so on. Could you just take us a little bit through how your program is based on some of those things?
Some of these words sound quite scary, don't they? Because they've kind of become a bit familiar to us now. So biomechanics, neuroscience, we also talk about brain moves. I think what we like to say to people is, because another element of our mission is keep yoga simple, and that's really important to us. And when we're developing anything, sometimes we can go off in all this thing, and then we go, no, look, let's bring it back, keep it simple. Just because we know all of this stuff doesn't mean other people do. So I think just before we sort of launch into what's biomechanics, what's neuroscience, what's brain moves, what we want practitioners to understand from this really is that we have sort of taken yoga and combined it with these things, so that anybody delivering our programs, they don't necessarily have to understand what all of this is. By doing it, they're delivering it. But the way we also do this is when we're training practitioners to deliver yoga to the children, we've broken it down into levels. So we have level 1 that's physical, level 2 that's breath, level 3 that's brain and level 4 that's mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is a great buzzword and it's brilliant to have, but to get here, we need to understand the other things first. So if we're not physically aware and we don't understand how the breath works and controls the emotions and how the brain interacts with all this, then we're not going to achieve mindfulness that's actually a sustainable gift for them for life. We might be getting them to do something, but they might not remember that later because they're not, you know what I mean? It's kind of a progression.
It really.
And again, we live in a society that's now. Yoga isn't now. Yoga isn't, you're not going to start doing yoga and lose 3 stone. You're not suddenly going to become calm. It's a journey. We've been on this journey for a very long time, and sometimes we're crazy. Because we're on this journey and it opens up new ways of looking at things. So anybody that wants to do our training and wants to deliver our programs to children, we do support that. And yes, we do look at research, and yes, we do liaise with experts, but we do the hard work, and then we present it to them in a way that they can understand, and we give them the activities and the tools to give it to the children. So we're doing all the work, basically.
Biomechanics. So basically all that really means is just like effective movement, basically. And it's just understanding the structure of the body and the way the body moves so that you get the best performance from it. A lot of that is used in sport, to develop sportsmen and women. It's evolving all the time, biomechanics, because it used to be based on the body was formed on a certain structure and it only moved a particular way. And now, because we have all this modern technology and we can see inside the body, and we know it's more fluid, and we keep up to date with those new sort of ideas that are coming through and the new research, and then we kind of like apply that into the yoga. So a lot of it is really basically bringing it right down to that body awareness. That's really what biomechanics is, and about the way that the body moves. And that's why we incorporate all the different ways of movement into the yoga class. And we know that has an impact on brain development, because we know physical movement really largely impacts on brain development. And maybe if we look at some children who are not developing rather well or whatever, or at a stage that we feel they should be, it can be sometimes because they're not physically moving enough, or in the ways because we've taken a lot of things away from children. When I look at risky play, I think, ooh, yes. And that's really what yoga is. It's risky play in a safe environment, because we're getting them to hang upside down, in a sense, when they do the downward dog, and we're getting them to tip over to the side and balance and things like this. But it's in that without the danger. Yeah. So it is risky play, if you like, and that's what biomechanics is. It's about them finding out how their body moves, what directions they can move in, what's the space around them, all these kind of things.
How parts of the body are connected that maybe you wouldn't think of as being connected, because it's studying right back from the embryo. Things that were once close are further apart. So, there's that kind of thing. So that interconnection of things, and that's something we've sort of experienced in our own sort of therapy, isn't it? And really that's what yoga is. Yoga means union of the mind, body and spirit, soul sort of thing, breath, whatever you want to call it. It's about bringing all that together, and when that's all in balance, that's when we can be the best that we can be, and that's the happy, the healthy and the content. Neuroscience is really important as well, and what we're talking about here really is the nervous system, and the nervous system sort of are linked to external stimuli and how the body reacts to it. So the body's getting information from all different sources, and one aspect about yoga really, it's about taking identifying these things and choosing really about what you choose to keep hold of. The brain's kind of a funny kind of computer really, and we're still stuck in like primordial places in some things. You might have experienced that panic, irrational fear, and children get that as well. in different situations, and when children get into that situation, they're not able to learn. Yoga helps to bring them back out of that state, and we've had some lovely feedback actually recently from one of the nursery teachers. They think that the breathing exercises that we teach, they're actually using those with the children then, and they find that it's a really good way to calm an upset child. The breath is our link to the central nervous system. It's the way to calm that back down again and bring children back into a place of reasonableness, because it's not really our fault. You know, it's this primitive part of the brain that just goes, we're in danger, you know, we're going to run away, we're going to start fighting, we're going to freeze. And that's exactly what children do. You know, early years practitioners will see that, won't they? Either the kid will blow up in some way, or they'll just sit there like not doing anything, or they might start hitting out, and that's a natural response. But what yoga can then give to children is we've got this other part of our brain that's a computer really, and the more good stuff we input into that computer, the more ways we've got in there of dealing with these situations. Then that's when we're talking about self-regulation and that kind of thing.
It gives them choices. They have an informed choice, don't they, of an alternative. And thinking also as well is, we don't know what background some of these children are coming from.
Yes.
And they have these learned belief patterns as well. And unless they're shown that there's an alternative to that, they think that that's the right way of approaching things. So if we call it a yoga toolbox, and that's what we're giving them. We're giving them a toolbox so that they've got all this information, like Katie says, and then they can pull out what they want out of there and think, oh, I think I'm going to use that tool today because I think that would be the best thing. And they might not be getting that, you see, in that environment that's coming from. And so they can be given these things. And we know that, like Katie said, just again, if we give them these in early years, it's locked in. And so we know that this should help them later on. Yes.
Yeah, and it's bridging the gap a little bit. I think that's what you're saying. It's breaking the cycle really of you know, some children not having access to those things, and really not to get into the whole Ofsted thing that's just, you know, about the cultural capital and that kind of thing. It's giving them every child the same opportunity, you know, of having that. And you know, we're all naturally gonna flip out at some things. You know, we've all done it, haven't we? If somebody steals our parking spot and stuff like that. But then it's that thing of how quickly can we bring ourselves back to the rational mind that says, hang on a minute, I'm not going to get out, and I'm not going to hit this person or worse, and I'm not really going to give them a big mouthful because it's not going to be good for anybody. I'm just going to go, okay. You know, and we need more of that in the world, don't we?
Definitely. And obviously the early years is the time to do it, isn't it? It's to get that embedded straight away, and so that, as you say, children have that to call on in later life, and to stop those situations escalating or happening sometimes. Yeah. So what is it that Brain Moves gives us then?
Good question. Stephen Braybrook, he's a movement man, and he's actually brought a lot of new research to biomechanics and neuroscience and about how everything works together. We've teamed up with him, and we've seen how we can use that within our yoga expertise really, and we've sort of put it together. So as an example of that, with Gorilla, like I did before, what we've learned through Brain Moves is that actually tapping on the chest here actually helps to reset the brain. So if the brain is kind of in an unsafe, let's say unsafe, will cause stress within the body. And so if you was to see a child getting like that, you know, if you got them to do Gorilla and tap here on the chest, that helps to
break it.
It breaks that cycle, and it helps to reset the brain. Yeah. So this is why we teach them things like this, and we're teaching them these things in early years. And if you say were in a setting that was in a school setting, you know, so you are a nursery and then you're in a school, and it was a whole school approach. As they go through, you can see how we would feed this information to the children more and more, and the more their understanding comes, the more we can bring this in their yoga classes. So their knowledge of what is happening within their bodies and why they're doing these things help. So in the adult world, it would just be called tapping, wouldn't it? I'm sure you've heard the tapping technique.
Yes.
Yes. So it's all these things, and it's based on, like brain moves and neuroscience and things. And we bring these things, and there's other things, just like placing your hands on your head, how this can also change the brain waves and make a difference in certain situations. Anybody who's done Reiki, you probably recognise that these are. So it's about tying all those things together with brain moves and bringing them to the children, basically, so they can self-regulate themselves. And it's starting off in early years, and we move up through.
Yeah. I think on that point as well, this thing, we talk a lot as well in this about in our practice about how people have lost that natural intuition. We don't really trust ourselves anymore. We're outwardly seeking for advice. We're always being told what to do, and we have got that natural intuition. It's just being suppressed. So we use an example, don't we, that when people are feeling like you do this, and actually what you're doing there is you're healing yourself, because it's to do with opposites, positive and negative energy. And when you're putting your hands on your head there, you're actually rebalancing. Now, some people don't believe in this stuff. I always say, you can't see electricity doesn't mean it's not powering this laptop now or whatever. And we're all energy in the same way. And we were talking earlier as well, weren't we, about intuition, and a good one probably for early years as well. If you've seen Toy Story 4, I find myself watching kids' films and I can see where they're going with this. So I don't think it's accidental that in Toy Story 4 they talk about listening to your inner voice, and it's basically Buzz Lightyear presses his button on his thing and it's telling him what to do, and he's pulling his thing at the back and it's telling him what to do, but what they're actually saying is listen to your inner voice, because you've got the answers. So kids are being fed this stuff through lots of subliminal ways, and it's great. We think that's fantastic. There's other films, Inside Out, the emotion.
If you think back to earlier times, how did people heal themselves then? Do you know what I mean? So the body does know how to heal itself. You're thinking about physical movement. How do our bodies know how to move that way so that we can then stand up upright? We do know, we have all those answers within us. We've just forgot to tap into them. We forgot we've got them. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to relight that in the children, to trust in themselves and to realise they do know how to do that. They can work it out. The body is telling them what it needs and what it wants to do.
And even about making choices in life, people talk about the gut. I just had a gut feeling, and that's really what they're talking about. They're talking about the instinct. So it's, for children, it's about listening to that to make the right decisions, not to follow a particular path because somebody tells them we should go and do this and they know it's not right, but they haven't got that confidence. And I think you said before, Kathy, you've got a cat. I've got a dog. I used to have a cat, but what do they do when they get out of the bed in the morning? Paws go down, they're like, stretching. And, I've seen loads of research, like osteopaths and different things say that really we should do that. What do? The alarm goes off, we jump out of bed, don't we? We're blah, 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 and then, we're frazzled. Then we need to sit and have a coffee. But, it's that mindfulness of, I've woken up, let's just, slide my legs around, sit up slowly, let the blood pressure, we've lost that. Just what our body needs, not even we're sick or whatever, just to set us on the right path for the day. And then instead of being like that, we've jumped up out of bed, then we start shouting at the kids because they've not brushed their teeth, or, we get halfway up the road and the school bag's still in the thing. But that's, it's that instinct that we've lost, isn't it? Just to listen to what we need that day, because some days we don't want to rush around, do we?
Absolutely. and really, to be honest, it only takes a couple of seconds to just have that little bit of thought about yourself and have a stretch and just sort of just get your head together, isn't it? It's mindfulness. It is just to have all those thoughts together. I know you do yoga with practitioners, don't you? So what sort of things do you do with practitioners then?
We keep it simple and accessible, and a way that we do this is we have what we call a grab and go pack.
As teachers ourselves, we didn't really want to be the night before we taught any classes thinking, oh, what are we going to do today? And because it takes time. You've got to remember what for done with one class, so we didn't want to be doing that. And so what we created for ourselves really was a simple to follow system that worked. And that's, following a structure. It's using this grab and go pack. So you'll recognise our monkeys that we've talked about before. So what we say is we always make the promise. And then we use images to work through the postures. So we have various ways that we link all this together, which is in our training. I mean, it'd take us 4 hours now more to start going through that. And that's what our training is basically. But, we teach practitioners how to engage children in this, to keep the yoga session moving. And we teach them how to teach these postures to children. But really what ends up happening is really the children teach themselves, because they have an idea of what these things should look like. So they almost come up with ideas for themselves. Let me say, all right, maybe just do it a little bit like this. And every time they see that image, then they know what to do. Because what we believe in, and this is where we've linked it to the neuroscience and this kind of thing, is for us a teapot's always a teapot. Yeah, it's always linked to the triangle posture in yoga. So there's no confusion, and they are comfortable with that routine and repetition. Sometimes people are scared of repeating and doing because it's almost like, oh, we've got to give the kids something new. We've got to. But everybody knows that kids are secure in routine. Children need that routine. That doesn't mean that we don't have room for innovation and imagination, because we give them ideas then to put a different spin on it, so we can maybe, like, if we're talking about the tree, we can be talking about the tree, but then maybe another day that can spark a bit of conversation with that as well, like what trees do we know, what lives it, that kind of thing. And it can link to other themes that aren't necessarily physical as well.
Yeah, like you can talk about seasons with trees, can't you, and things like this. So and this is how we teach the practitioners. So we have CPD that will bring all these things in. We have demos and videos. We have lesson plans, don't we? We link it up then to Development Matters and the curriculum, the physical guidelines, new inspection framework, all these kind of things. So a child needed to demonstrate certain skill, maybe showing large muscle group or something like that. They could look at the Yoginis program and think, oh, look at that. Oh, right, they need to do this. Oh, we do a bit of yoga today. We could evidence them doing that. They've demonstrated that skill. So it's not just a physical activity in that sense, where they're also getting some exercise and they're being healthy. They can link it up to, the developments in the child as well, so that they're not always having to plan everything. They can actually use the yoga session to evidence things as well. So and what we find with the practitioners is that what they will do is they can capture different children doing lots of different things in that session. Such a lot that they can the practitioners can learn in this. But like we said, we're not going to give you this all at once, because you get it all and then do nothing with it. So what we do is we break it down, like Katie said earlier, into levels.
1, 2, 3 and 4.
And we do like a physical, because just like an adult yoga class, often the majority of people that go to yoga start off with physical because they've got a bad back. And often, not always with children, but often it is tension in the body that you notice first. You know what I mean? And then we will bring in the breath, because we need to coordinate that as well, start bringing that in with movement and things like that, and helping them to show how they can use the breath. And then there's the brain development, so how those things impact on brain development. And then we can start talking about mindfulness, because we've settled those other things. And this is the path of yoga. This is how we were taught as yoga teachers. We didn't just go in and sit down and learn mindfulness in our first year of training. We spent the first year of training on anatomy, moving the body, and moving the body, and how we how to do that properly and understand how that works and all these different body shapes and sizes and elements and before we even considered trying to do that. Because if you can't keep the body still, you can't keep the mind still.
You can't. And I mean, as an example, is recently I've had a problem with a psoas muscle in my back. And because I just couldn't be physically comfortable until, I'd managed to sort that out, I couldn't breathe properly. Trying to sit and meditate, forget about it. I just couldn't do it, even though that's been something I've done my whole life. My body wasn't comfortable, and my brain was just going, my body hurts, my body hurts, my body hurts. And that was all it could think about. And actually, we go back to the ancient texts of yoga. Yoga was designed for people to release the bodies enough to sit comfortably in meditation for days, weeks, whatever. We're not asking anybody to do this. But that's the essence of where it comes from. It's not, and so a lot of yoga's been lost over time because it's so physically beautiful to look at. I don't know if you've seen people doing perfect yoga postures. Oh, these bodies don't do it. No. Yeah, we never have. What these bodies do is they say we can feel how yoga's helping us to be better bodies. Yeah. Yes. And so that's what we want to give to people, because we were tired of hearing people say, I can't do yoga because I'm overweight, I can't touch my toes, I've got no coordination, I've got this. I'm like, no, you're the people that need to do yoga. The people that can do all this stuff, their bodies are already really flexible and supple, so they don't need it as much, although there's the spiritual side and the strength and the, not saying they don't need it, but it's not limited. Yoga is for anybody, again. That's what and it's not a showcase either. It's not a showcase,
what I mean? It's about, like we say, it's about getting to body awareness. It's about getting to know yourself. It's not about displaying your body to everybody else. It's about knowing what's going on the inside. It's about stuff like that.
I don't think we mentioned in the benefits before about non-competitiveness.
Yes.
And that's a really big thing. So not only is that a benefit because it allows children to access it, but it also as well not everything in life has to be competitive, does it? It's comparing to yourself. Can I be my best?
We're all different and it's okay, you know.
So what sort of benefits do practitioners see when they've done yoga? Do you get any sort of feedback at all?
Well, we actively seek feedback all the time because it really helps us to get better. But when we've trained practitioners to deliver our programs, we like them to, we get them to do some visual feedback. So I'll show you a little example of, this is an early years practitioner from a school that we did some training in. And what we like to do is just at the end of our session is just get them to use these sort of whiteboards just to give us a quick message as to how they found the training, and it helps as well for people to see these are the people that have done our training. They're ordinary people. There's no physical requirements, there's no particular look you have to have. Yoga has expectations, and again, to say anybody can do yoga. So we just want you to take a look really as well at these, because what people are saying is it's fun, it's easy to follow, and we've created confidence in the practitioners as well, because what they're able to do is literally go out and start teaching straight away. And that is one thing that we've probably not mentioned about our program. Actually, the train today, teach tomorrow is what we say, because our training is very practical. We give you we do the work for them, we give you that session to go out and deliver to the children, and I think that excitement to start teaching straight away, and this has come from people that were a little bit like, oh, we're not sure if we can do this because we've got no experience of yoga, we're a bit scared, but we empower them then to think, yes, I can do that. And that's the same what we give for the children as well, that we want them to have, isn't it, that I can do this attitude.
So would you take yoga out to the families as well then? I mean, we've talked about the children and the practitioners. My feeling is that when I certainly thinking about my sons, they would come home and tell me all about this exciting thing that they've been doing at nursery. Do you do it with families or not?
Well, what we have done, because we got requests by the children saying, because when we actually go in to settings and deliver it ourselves. They call me Yoga Sue. One little boy says to me one day, he said, Yoga Sue, he said, do you think you could come to my house? Because my mum and dad just don't know how to do yoga. Yeah. And he'd been going home and trying to teach his mum and dad how to do this.
People have said they've gone home and they've caught them doing little things, and they say, we think you're responsible for this, nice. I think she was sitting on a bed, and I think she was doing something along the promise lines or something like that. But we get loads of little bits of stories like that, and they get confident because they recognise these images and stuff like that. They get confident that they can go home and do it.
Yeah, because of the repetition. They remember the sequence, you see.
Yeah.
So what we decided to put it in a book for families.
Ah, brilliant.
So we have our book, which is called Let's Go Yoginis.
So we use the same pictures.
As to what we do, and we've got an example there. Then we've got how to do it, what you might like to try something different, why it's good, and then maybe a few other ideas if the children were older or they wanted to just chat through it. Also, we do have, our symbols as well, so you can understand what they are. And more importantly, we also have our monkeys, because we want you to start doing that at the beginning, and about kindness and why we should do it and things like that. So this is what we encourage families to do. And we got some families to try out our book and everything, and they said the kids just come home after school, they go straight to the bookcase, they take the book off and they say, can we do some of this? And so the whole family is doing it together. They say they absolutely love it.
And it's cross-generational. I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like we've said before, if you've got grandma or whatever, and maybe, I don't know, they're not as active, can't get out of the chair or whatever, they can still do these things from the chair. And it just brings that little bit of fun back to them for exercising as well, because it's almost like at both ends of that spectrum. This really appeals to that, but in the middle then as well. And it's brilliant because we do a PDF version of the book, because obviously technology, but it's quite nice sometimes. I love books, I think books are great, and it's something the whole family can do together, is what we're saying. That's really important, because we think as well, exercise can be a bit of a chore, can't it? Going to the gym with a friend is more fun than going to the gym on your own, that kind of thing. And so if the whole family can join in with it, and like we've said before, they don't necessarily know they're exercising, but they don't need to put the gym gear on. They'll probably want to, though, you don't really need a mat, but again, you can have one, because they come in all pretty colours and stuff like that from the shops. And
you can do it outside your house or inside your house.
You can do it on the bus, you can do it on holiday, you take your kids for a day out to the park. You can incorporate it in that. When they're travelling, all different things. There's just ways of doing it, isn't there? It's inexpensive, yoga is. I mean, I gave this book to some of the kids. There's quite a lot of kids on my street, and like Sue said, when we were first writing this book, we gave it to people to try out and stuff like that, and gave it to the kids on the street, peep out the window, and they're just there following it themselves, just just copying and reading, and they spent like half an hour or whatever having good fun with it. I think again, it's a child-led book. They can just do it, look at the pictures, but as they get older, then it's about reading. We've also got the Sanskrit names in there, because Sanskrit is the language of yoga, and it's exposing them to another language as well, isn't it?
Wow. Katie and Sue, we've covered so much there already. Wow. And I know this is still just the tip of the iceberg. This is just a flavour of everything that's going on. So I'm now going to pin you down to top tips for practitioners and educators out there when doing yoga with children. What would they be?
So my top tip would be, have fun, not form. It doesn't matter what they look like in a posture or anything like that, just have fun, just go with it and enjoy it.
Brilliant. I like that one.
That's a good one. I like that one. So mine would be, just do it. Just do it. Anybody can do yoga. You've heard me say that a number of times. I think that's that's my inner voice. Anybody can do yoga. Just do it. Just do it. Anybody can do it. That's it. Simple.
That is fantastic. Wow, thank you so much for joining us on Early Years TV today. I know you do have a beautiful website. We've already mentioned there's some downloads on there. Can you just give me your website name, please?
www.yoginisyoga.uk.
Super stuff. Thank you very much. And you will find a link that go along with the words with the video there that you can click through on. But yeah, and I do tell people, go along, have a look, download the monkeys, and make sure you start using that with the children. Absolutely super. And on your website, there's details about your online training as well, is there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, you can go ahead and fill in an inquiry form, and that will send you some more information. It'll send a link to our demo as well. So our online training is live, which is great. It covers all the same things as the face-to-face training does, but obviously you've got the convenience of location, time. We have broken it down into sections, so it's kind of a drop-in, drop-out training. We tell you how long each of the sections are going to take, so you can spend half an hour one evening, an hour another evening. So it fits around modern approaches to training, really, doesn't it? So we're really happy with it. We've also got the Hive, haven't we, Sue?
Hive is where you would get your CPD. That's where all the resources are. Also, if you were thinking of having a few of your staff trained up to deliver yoga, the managers can actually get data, and they can know who's accessing the program, if they're doing the CPD, if they're making use of the resources. We can give them all kind of stuff like that, so they know that they just haven't paid for some training and that's the end of. There's that information there for them to make sure the staff is using it, so they know they're getting a quality product. Also, they can come to us with any questions, so we're experts, we're on hand all the time to help and support them. They can give us feedback, and we can share that with others if they've got any tips themselves or if they need any support or help.
It's about that ongoing support.
Yeah.
When people have done our training, they become approved Yoginis Yoga coaches. We got our programs accredited by the Children's Activities Association, and because we deliver that ongoing support to our coaches, they also fall under the banner of these programs are approved by the Children's Activities Association. So again, for us, it's all about doing the work for people, because we know how busy they are. We want to help rather than give them more work.
We want to give them that quality assurance, don't we? That what they're buying is a quality product. It's a premium product. And that it is value for money.
That's right, And really as well, that's why we do the progression, because then, they've got those other levels there, so they can grow with that. And, by the end of, if they choose to do all 4 levels of training, what they basically get is they get a huge portfolio of postures that they can teach, activities, ways to deliver the postures, just all these different resources. And it's just about mixing and matching then, and creating no planning sessions.
It's not exhaustive, you see, because there's constant things that we can be bringing through and things like that. Once they've become an approved coach, because it is accredited, they can actually charge parents for an extra activity, because it is a quality premium activity. Or childminders, anybody,
it keeps them competitive as well, doesn't it? Because it is a sought after activity, yoga now. People are very much on the well-being, mindfulness train, aren't they? And so it keeps you up to date, doesn't it?
Thank you so much, Sue Hartley, Katie Brennan, for joining us today on Early Years TV to talk all about yoga with children, a first on Early Years TV. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been so much fun. I didn't think it would be this much fun.
And I look forward to welcoming everybody to Early Years TV next week.